And that's an important message because many people get focused on what they can see, right? You get focused on, oh, what a fancy car. And people, oh, wow, look at that. That's such a fancy car. Well, you know what? It's going to rust. It's by a man. Look where he lives. Look at that mansion. Wow, so impressed. Well, it won't last. You know, they look at these buildings, a fantastic building. It won't last. Jesus tells us focus on what will last, and what will last is our souls. People's eternal destiny is what really matters. They're going to or in hell. And so that's where our focus should be, upon God and serving Him and leading people to know Jesus Christ so that they'll spend eternity in heaven. Now, that's a great point to make in this passage. But there's more. Our real home is in heaven. Now, in verse 3, the disciples get him alone, privately, or on the Mount of Olives. They don't, he's been teaching publicly in the temple, but they want to know, which is normal and natural for all of us to be curious about the end times. When is this going to happen? Now, I want you to understand it's multiple questions here. 2, maybe even 3 questions, because they ask him, when's this going to happen to the temple? They're interested when the temple is going to be destroyed. And then they ask him, when's your return, the sign of your return? And when's the end of the age? And those are all multiple different types of questions. And so in the answer that he gives, he's hitting on some things that have been already fulfilled, but other things haven't been fulfilled yet. And I like to describe prophecy like this. A lot of the prophecy is like a mountain range. And these prophets are viewing things and describing things of the future. And some of the things that they're describing are in the hills nearby. And they happen pretty soon afterwards. In fact, it was less than 40 years later that the temple was burned down by the Romans when the Jews rebelled in 70 AD. It's similar in the Old Testament when they talk about, the Jewish people, they'll be scattered and then they'll return, right? They're scattered and then they'll return. Well, sometimes that happens like within 70 years. Jeremiah says in 70 years the captivity will be done and they'll come back. And they did. But you know what? They were scattered again. And then in 1948, the Jewish people came back another time and reestablished their nation in Israel. And that's maybe a mountain further back. So sometimes these prophecies have multiple times that they're actually fulfilled. And it's in what Jesus is describing. Some of it got fulfilled in AD 70. Some of it hasn't even been fulfilled yet. It's in the distance. It's a distant mountain. And as we go through history, sometimes when you get to this mountain, you think, that other mountain's it's not that far, but it's actually hundreds of miles away. So we don't know. We don't know how far in the distance